You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's WWE Monday Night Raw After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's WWE Monday Night Raw After Show.
Digging ball with the ball to bang. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to AfterBuzz TV, brought to you by Bing, where Bing is for doing, and we're here doing another live AfterBuzz recap for the week of November 5th, and it's time to get raw. I'm Ryan GQ Money Katz, and I'm joined by my tag team of broadcast brilliance. That's Josh Showtime Padgett and Ryan the Colonel Clum.
Yeah, still the Colonel.
You're still the Colonel, man. There's something about it.
You said you were going to go away from it. But,
I know. I was contemplating switching it up to Ryan Morals Clum, but there's something about the Colonel.
You like the Colonel?
Gives you a little authority, man.
All right.
I mean, it just makes your it makes you...
Makes me seem like I know what I'm talking about a little bit.
Finger licking good, my friend. Finger licking good. As we said, we got the week of November 5th. It's Monday Night Raw, and we're live from Birmingham, England.
Yeah, it's Birmingham. I always was like, oh, it's Birmingham, England, but it's ain't Birmingham, Alabama.
Like Alabama.
I learned that myself, too. I mean, Michael Cole and Jim Ross had a little back and forth about it. I wasn't aware of Birmingham.
Birmingham.
I even wrote it down. BIRMING-UM. Birmingham.
It's crazy.
A little,
Don't pronounce it miscorrectly. People don't like that, or incorrectly.
Well, we start the show opening hot with Raw opening with Heyman and Miz backstage.
I like that.
Yeah, Miz isn't happy about CM Punk ditching them last week. And what does he do?
He quits.
He quits.
Takes his ball and goes home.
What kind of leader is this?
He's not the leader.
Your team.
Yeah, but Heyman says, hey, you know, it was because Miz said it was all about last week of Punk retreating during that match. And Heyman says, hey, this isn't about retreating. This is about the art of war.
Yeah.
This is about knowing what's going on with your opponents, playing the game of strategy, a little Sun Tzu in effect.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so go ahead. What you got?
I love this. It was a great change of pace. You don't just have like someone walking out taking forever to get something started. It was like, oh man, we got something special here.
And it was before the opening or not opening credits, but the title sequence. Opening sequence. So I thought that was really cool. First thing in, 30 seconds in and out, and it meant something.
Yeah, Miz tells Heyman that Punk and Heyman are full of crap. Miz doesn't need them, and he's out. And then what was kind of neat, a nice little strategy, is the camera pulls out at the end, and you got Miz on the poster. For Survivor Series.
I thought that was really cool.
And then we come in right away. We bring up a recap package, or maybe we went to the intro sequence first. But we got a recap package of last week with a new voiceover guy and a new style of production. Almost very other sport-like recap. You know, they kind of made it more like an important sporting event. Gave this live from England show a whole different feel starting it off.
Felt very different and big, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it.
Yeah, and this is a direction they've been going with since the PG era started. They're trying to become more of like this professional sporting, more sports related, not so much the...
but the rule, they don't pay attention to any rules. That's my one complaint about it. I don't think it really is like a sports league, because it's like the inmates are on the asylum, so they don't pay attention to that at all.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I disagree a little bit.
Right? You know, it's like you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
Well, from the quick little backstage, you know, setup and story setup, we went right to action. Started off with the 6-man tag. We had Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara, and R-Truth taking on Darren Young, Titus O'Neil, and Antonio Cesaro. Interesting that Truth and Cara were in the ring first. Rey was the only one who really got a public entrance, and then the Primetime Players, big entrance. I mean, something about the Primetime Players this week felt really big from the get-go. I mean, they seemed more important than they really are.
Yeah, and they're getting more important. You know, they're getting better every week.
I'm a huge fan of these guys.
I am too.
I hate this pairing with Primetime Players and Cesaro. I'm like, they represent everything that Cesaro like hates about our culture and stuff. So
true.
I'm like, why?
But Cesaro's so good.
You know, why not have Cody Rhodes? The Rhodes Scholars and Cesaro is like perfect matchup. You know, but like, oh, we're not gonna have that. We need to throw some guys together. So
I don't know.
let's just do this.
Cesaro was the most impressive part of this match, though, to me. Like, I loved watching Cesaro in this. Like, his just things I'm watching for, his timing, I think, is so good. When Ray bounced off the ropes and he tagged himself in and got through the ropes over the guy that was laying on the ropes and was in position to hit the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker right there. Like, his timing to get in position and not trip on the ropes, I loved watching that. I thought that was amazing.
Part, yeah.
From the moment he comes out, I mean, even from having that Rey Mysterio high energy entrance for the crowd, getting the crowd amped up for the start of the show, the minute Cesaro's music hit, I don't know if I loved it when he first debuted with it. It seemed a little generic, but that little dun,
yeah, I like
dun,
that.
It hits nice, and it does set a mood and ambiance when he comes to the ring.
And they did those a couple touts as well. I think they had an R-Truth tout, right, and Cesaro, which I kind of like if you use them in the way of they're almost using those as the old promo in a box, you know, that they used to do. They're doing it in the beginning, or they could even do the touts during a match, but I think that's the way to use the tout, is just replace that for the promo in a box. Well,
the story being told in this match is essentially a setup to begin the feud between R-Truth and Cesaro for the United States Championship.
Yeah, and they've gotten into it a little bit. I think, was it on SmackDown this week? Because it wasn't Raw last week, right? They didn't get into it. It was SmackDown this week that they got into it a little bit as well.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it looks like they're pushing the storyline as the match went on. Michael Cole brings it up a lot that Truth wants a chance at the belt, and I think that's what we're going to see as a little program. I'm sure going into the next pay-per-view, we're going to see that as a title match.
Good, and that title needs a decent kind of feud around it. You know, Cesaro's been the champion for a little bit, but hasn't really had a really good program with anyone to kind of elevate the importance of that title.
And R-Truth, I think he's really good. Like I think he's underrated out there. I'm not a big fan of the little Jimmy gimmick, but I think him and Cesaro will have a great matchup. Yeah, it's gonna be good. There was a moment in this match I also liked when Ray got whipped into the corner turnbuckle, took it face first, dropped, very believable. There was just a realness that, I mean, it looked like he took that turnbuckle hard, dropped down.
And one thing I was thinking about Cesaro as well, how well he worked with guys like Ray and
well, you
Sin
were talking
Cara,
about timing before. There was a situation where I forgot who it was, if it was Darren Young or Titus O'Neil, was essentially set up for 619. Ray was coming in. There was that timing. Cesaro made the tag on him and jumped on in, cut him off, caught that tilt-a-whirl and went from there. It was a great cut off by Cesaro.
And just, I mean, to me, just having to get around a ring, we've been in a ring a couple times ourselves. That's not easy to get between those ropes, tag, make that timing, get over the guy who's laying there, and be in position to hit that move.
I know you're a fan of the old school, and you also host AfterBuzz Old School, where you discuss with Rick Drayson, you know, old school techniques, old school styles, stories, etc. I love the old school style of Cesaro when he goes for the cover, that forearm across the face.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the first things I learned in amateur wrestling. My coach told me, you got to use that forearm. You grind that in the back of their neck. You grind that on their face.
Rub
it's
it
legal.
right
you're able to, and you use that hard part of the bone to inflict pain.
Oh, yeah, when you're throwing cross faces, use that bicep and punch them in the jaw with it.
Yeah. And also, like, cover up the mouth so they can't breathe, you know, make it really hard for them.
Absolutely. You got to take these techniques that you use in a real fight situation, put them into the context of professional wrestling, and now you have a much more believable product, and you're believing the aggression, and you're believing the credibility that he is really a trained superstar fighter.
Yeah, I remember advice I got. I met a few months ago the great Les Thatcher, and he said anything that you do in the ring is something you should be able to do out in the parking lot.
Yeah,
essentially.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that you can't really do in a parking lot was my favorite part of this match was Titus O'Neil, you know, gorilla pressing
Rey Mysterio,
and then pressing him, and then throws him down immediately into like multiple backbreakers. I'm like, if you could pull that off in a parking lot, you're someone to deal with.
I'm a huge mark for Titus O'Neil, big fan of his, but when he was doing that, here's what came into my mind. It was, once again, that thing I go back to with adding another person to Primetime Players. I imagined if Zeke was part of the Primetime Players too, and as a tag, as a tag team, if in the military press they almost tossed Ray between each other.
Oh, like a hot potato,
but military press
hot potato. That would be good.
Those two guys are both beasts enough to be able to pull something like that off.
Within the next month, we're going to see a hot potato military press spot on Raw.
It would be pretty nice to see. Another moment I loved is now, once again, involved Titus O'Neil. R-Truth as well. R-Truth, man, hit his flying corkscrew, that corkscrew elbow or whatever. Yeah. And he got some air, and he had some spin today. And then
some torque on that.
Yeah,
He's
definitely.
An athletic dude.
And right after that, Titus O'Neil tried to interfere in the match. Truth ducked out of the way, and O'Neil went diving over the top rope. Great profile moments. I mean, he wasn't successful with the attempt, but just made O'Neil just seem aggressive and just really
solid match.
It was a good match. I enjoyed it. The next thing that happened was
a lot more credibility now for the tag division. Definitely with matches like this, we're definitely seeing more of a focus on tag teams, which I like.
Yeah. So O'Neil to the outside, and R-Truth ends up hitting a brand new move, a Dixie drop or a Dixie driver. Cole had no idea what it was. Jim Ross had no idea what it was.
And that's rare that Jim Ross doesn't know what something is.
If we could actually pull up a video clip, I'm going to go back 10 years to when I took that Dixie driver off the top rope at the world-famous ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I was taking on Chris Hamrick right here. We got a situation. He sets it up.
What promotion was this?
This is XPW, ladder match situation, and boom! Off the top, man. It's broken.
Where's the point of impact on
I mean, it's your throat. It's essentially a suplex into a stunner. It's a chin. It's a throat. It's just a snap.
Yourself from that?
I mean, you protect yourself with professionalism, skill, technique. I mean, folks, we are trained professionals. Do not try this at school, at home, or anywhere. Yeah, I like that. They do that little plug on the Saturday Morning Slam now. Their new version where everyone goes out and plugs the don't try this
Even
at home.
If you have a ring, don't try it unless you have a professional to train you.
Well, Truth ends up getting the win over Cesaro, and this starts an interesting trend for not only today, but something we've been seeing quite common on, quite often in WWE. It's the situation where any time a champ is in a match, whether it be a tag team match, a non-title match, a six-man, any type of match, if the title's not on the line, the champ's always losing lately.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think these champions should maintain some sort of credibility that even when the stakes aren't high and even when the championship isn't on the line, I think they should be winning matches and proving that they're a dominant force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
I agree, and I mean, it's a little hard to do in these days, but I also think they should go back to the champion not wrestling as much on TV. When I grew up watching Hulk Hogan was the champ for 4 years, and you had to pay to see him. You had to go buy a ticket to go to the arena, or you had to buy the pay-per-view to see him. Maybe he would come on Superstars and do some interviews, some promos. You might get to see him for free on Saturday night's main event once every few months, but they can't do that fully with the days of ratings and stuff, but I'd like to see them go a little bit, protect their champs a little bit more.
I would agree with it. Yeah. It's something that just builds, it gives you a subconscious feeling of they're more important, they're bigger, they're better, they're stronger, they are the superior members of the roster.
Go back to the Heyman Punk thing. You don't fight for free.
Yeah.
Let's not have, and at least if you're going to have these matches, I understand, you need to have your champions on TV, but, they don't have to, I agree with you, they shouldn't lose. Let the challenger look really good, but then, the champion, what makes a champion a champion? He squeezes out a win, makes both of them look strong, but it's have the challenger be dude, I had you, I was this close.
That close.
Don't have them lose, this lose. It's who's Cesaro?
You just automatically,
Justin Gabriel,
and you just automatically believe that, title's not on the line, they're going to lose, and it just takes away the unpredictability, it takes away the spontaneity.
We'll have to talk about this again during the main event because I have some issues later on.
All right, the next segment up was Vicky Guerrero and John Cena. We get a recap of the saga. I was a little down when it started because it seemed like we were just getting a complete rehash of last week when Vicky started showing the same footage we saw last week. Cena finally comes out. I'm not sure what the chant was going on. There was something going on. But Cena and Vicky actually had a pretty entertaining exchange. Last week we pointed out that we felt like Vicky was very robotic, very scripted, very mechanical in her delivery. I think she was totally loosened up this week, totally having fun with the role she was in, playing the fact that she was kind of just... she knew that her puppet strings were being controlled by someone else, and she was trying to set the table and manipulate the situation of what the scandal angle is. But in turn, she knew she didn't have all the balls in her bag.
Right, and I love the way Cena's been playing this, just kind of laughing things off. And the one thing I like, too, if you noticed that he did this last week as well, he almost stays really strong on this. And then there's one moment where he almost incriminates himself, like you just don't believe, like you're like, yeah, this guy's totally on the straight and narrow. And then he'll say something emotionally. This time it was where... Ziggler came out and Ziggler said he knows what AJ loves to do, and then Cena went to the back immediately. Last week, I forget what it was, and then he went off at this one point. He's strong, and then he's like, Vicky, you're not as pretty as AJ and all those things. Now,
there was an issue with that situation.
I think it's kind of written in that way.
There was an issue there with Ziggler and the AJ thing, because they almost made it like Ziggler was trapping AJ, and the way that even the crowd responded, like there was something shady going on there, and then with Cena going to the back to follow up, and we never had another follow-up with AJ the rest of the episode.
I don't think that's what it was supposed to be. I think it was supposed to be Ziggler just shows up, he's like, and did it, and lures John back, and it was the thing to incriminate, to make Cena look like.
But even in the luring him back, there was nothing to follow up on that there was a bring him to the back.
Absolutely.
Vicky had something I think she should start playing as a new catchphrase, actually.
What was that?
There was a moment in this exchange where she was essentially like, no siree. And I just think that with the excuse me's, this is almost the reverse of that with the no siree. Is from the excuse me is an aggressive, I'm cutting you off. The no siree is more of, well, it's her in control. I don't know. I just think that there's a way to play both of those together as a contrast in catchphrases, and I think people will play in. The other thing I thought was funny was she gave a, oh, yes, it does, Johnny boy. She was having fun tonight, and I really enjoyed Vicky's performance, whereas last week it was something that left a taste to be desired.
The audience out here was a very pay-per-view-esque crowd. They were very they were very against Cena. You could hear the boos just going. And you said one of the chants they were doing, I think they said, "You can't wrestle. You can't wrestle."
They were saying you can't wrestle.
And that's when he was doing his self-deprecating.
Well, that came in right. Essentially, just Cena cracks a joke that Vicky Guerrero saying that, hey, she runs a clean ship here on Raw, and then Cena came back saying, Vicky, you running a clean show is like me learning another move. It's not gonna happen. And then he went into his 4 moves of doom.
It was pretty good tonight. He was like, what? I got like 4 or 5 moves. Does the tackle count? Oh, it does. Yeah. Okay.
The crowd was responding great to the elevator and bedroom stuff.
Oh yeah.
They love when when we're led to believe that Cena is getting something from AJ. They're popping huge and throwing the yes. I think people want to see Cena have this affair. They don't want it to end where he is innocent and not involved. I think we want to see another depth of character, that there is a character flaw to Cena, and he does have this situation. I think it may pan out. I think he can still stay face. It doesn't turn him heel, but it just gives more depth to him personally.
Humanizes him a little bit
Humanizes
more.
him more.
He's a Boy Scout milk drinker.
Everyone's been complaining that Cena's been the same for the past 10 years. This puts us in a situation where there is a little bit more substance to who he is.
Yeah, and I like how he brought up Vicky's hypocrisy of her being management and fraternizing with the talent as well. That he's saying, you're pointing your finger at me. What about when you were married to Edge? When then he's got rid of you and you used your power with Ziggler.
In this segment and then in a later segment, they did a good job of filling in and covering up some holes that they've had in the past. So some problems that we've looked at over the past, such as that, if AJ had to step down for fraternizing, why is it that when Vicky was in that situation she was able to? They did address these situations today. Vince comes out in a later segment and actually once again addresses some other storyline holes, so to speak. This first half hour or so, this start of this show, seems like WWE is on a roll. There's a big time feel to this event, and like I say, it seems like they're correcting storylines. We have a change in the main event getting set up already with No and Miz quit. This seems to be a nice shift, and a shift for,
at this point
in a good favor. I want to let everybody know and remember that you got to go to iTunes, man, and you got to rate and comment these shows. Subscribe to it. Tell a friend. It only takes a minute, but you could have these AfterBuzz podcasts, these recaps, just loaded automatically onto your iPad every single week.
Or your iPhone. You can have it in the car. You can have it at the gym. I listen to these at the gym sometimes.
You like to listen to yourself
on the way to the gym.
Ryan's sitting there at the gym. He's either on his cardio or he's sitting on the bench with some big weights, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm about to do my analysis. My analysis is coming. I got it.
I used to listen back to some. I used to listen back to some of the SmackDown ones in the car on the way to the gym.
Nice.
But yeah, no music during the gym.
From the in-ring promo to the backstage promo, Paul Heyman and one of our favorites here at AfterBuzz, Wade Barrett.
Yeah, huge pop when he came on screen.
Well, we are in Birmingham.
Yeah, we are in Birmingham,
which must be close to Liverpool.
I do not know. Maybe.
I'm not sure. I wasn't an AB geography student. One of my few subjects I didn't do too well
English
in.
Geography. Yeah, that's rough. But he tells him, he's like, listen, we really need you.
Heyman telling Wade Barrett,
we need you, please. Miz dropped out.
And Barrett says, I don't trust you. I can't do that accent. I couldn't do it.
And he said basically, you came at me last week, and I'm going to tell you the same thing I told you last week. No.
He walks away.
He walks away for about a half a second.
And then he comes back.
It's all right. You owe me, though.
I'll do it,
he said, I've reconsidered, I'll do it, but you owe me.
And he wants it in writing.
I want it in paper, yeah.
Oh, is that what he said? I couldn't understand what he said at the end. I rewound it 5 times.
I want it on paper. I got wants it in writing.
Oh, yeah, I want it in writing. Yeah. That's what I meant.
I love you added a nice British flair when you said on paper. Yeah. I thought it was proper. Like, I want it on paper.
But, so he's like, let's do it. And that's a great addition to his team.
Yeah.
So far, we think this is Heyman's team, right?
We go to a match, baby. We're back to the action. Cody Rhodes versus Daniel Bryan. Somewhat of a quick match.
But the fans, the minute that music hits, the Flight of the Valkyries hits, and the sea of fans start to move.
Yes. Wow, man, the fans love this guy.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. They're more active with his matches than any time else on the show.
So what should we do with him?
We should push him to the moon.
To the main event.
Oh, but how about we squash him instead? How about that? Let's have Cody Rhodes beat him.
And actually, that was far from a squash. Cody Rhodes.
It was a good match.
Actually, Daniel Bryan had almost complete offense on that. Cody Rhodes got 2 moves in and stole the match.
Bryan was very aggressive to start with. It was nice.
It was actually almost an opposite squash, but Cody stole the win.
There's some action going on outside. There was distractions based on, Cody gets some distractions based on Sandow's outside interference. Finally hits a disaster kick on the outside, throws Daniel Bryan back in the ring, hits the crossroads for the pin. Post-match, Cody cuts a promo promising that Damian Sandow could beat Kane just as easy. And then Sandow just gives he gives great face.
Right. And I'll say one thing, that this was very similar to something that happened on SmackDown, and something that I like they did there that they did not do here that annoyed me. Same thing, it was they had Mysterio and Sin Cara versus the Primetime Players. First 2 wrestle, Darren Young wins. Then Titus grabs a microphone, challenges for the other 2 to wrestle. They go to a commercial break. They come back, matches on SmackDown. They then said Teddy Long has come on and made this match official. Nobody made this match official between Kane and Sandow. They're just going to wrestle? Who said this is okay? That bothers me. They thought of it on SmackDown. They didn't here. It was
especially because in this
situation,
and in this situation here, you have your managing supervisor already in her own storyline, so that they're not tying. They're not twisting ties.
Right, but just have Michael Cole say,
yeah.
Vicky Guerrero has officially made this a match.
I hear you.
That's what they did. The minute they came back, Teddy Long came out during the break and said this is official.
Well, instead of doing that, we just get the match, Kane versus Damian Sandow. In a giant squash in this sense. I mean, Kane just obliterated Sandow.
Right.
Before actually
but
getting
he jumped
the win.
Him in a way, too. So
sure, and it was an impromptu, and Daniel Bryan and Cody Rhodes end up getting sent to the back by the referees, ejected from the ringside area.
Yeah, so Sandow was distracted.
This is a bit of another situation, though. As you're watching that, was there ever a second you thought Sandow might steal that win? No, because his partner just won. So you knew he had to lose. So that I'd like to see some surprises almost here and there.
But I was okay with the loss in this situation. Yeah. It doesn't even bother me that Sandow had 0 offense because he is in an impromptu situation, and as the intellectual savior, the only way he's going to beat a guy like Kane is to prepare, plan, and calculate a strategy to
defend.
I agree. You can't do it a lot, but sometimes it becomes very predictable, which is it's tough to not do that sometimes. But
so moving forward, we go to the announcement that everyone's been waiting a week and a half for
Brad
now.
Maddox
since the pay-per-view. Brad Maddox is going to speak.
Maddox.
Yeah. There's a habit that you want to say Brad Maddox, but that's apparently not what his name is.
I don't get it.
Brad Maddox.
Who says that?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but that's how.
Yeah, I'm sure it bothers me. Just like the great fighter Jose Aldo just bothers me. It's like it's Jose, not Jose.
Yeah, I mean, those little things, the pet peeves in the world of wrestling. Well, Maddox came out and he said that he had nothing to do with CM Punk and he was acting alone. He says he did what he did at Hell in a Cell because he wanted to make an impact. So what do you think? Did he make an impact?
I don't know. Do you think he was taking a jab at the somewhat competition with that word being used a few times?
I did think about that, especially because even when he came to the ring, almost a Joey Ryan-esque. I know they're totally different, and Joey does the sleaziness and has the beard and doesn't look anything. But there was just something about a vibe of them two that there was almost his own gut check. There was a very similar tie to TNA's storyline there. That, well, I wouldn't say they ripped them off. I would say there was a coincidental similarity.
And we actually had Joe Schmo, the former Raw writer, in on SmackDown yesterday, and we were talking about that, and he said Vince never watches the other product, but all the other writers, they are on the torch the minute that those shows are off. He said everyone's watching, they are paying attention to the other product. So sometimes, hey, that storyline's bad over there, we can do it better. And they might pitch something in, which we've seen with the AJ Cena stuff, some very similar storylines to what have been going on over at TNA recently. Yeah. So there's been some similar storylines popping up.
So Maddox is a good-looking kid. It looks like this is someone that WWE is getting behind. There's going to be some money and a time investment, an investment in him as a character. And as this promo started, I started thinking to myself, wow, if this is the guy that they're banking on, we may have some problems here. I thought he was a little shaky on the mic getting started.
That eyebrow, man. That eyebrow was a little itchy. The nose.
Yeah, I don't know if that was shtick or if that was legit nerves. There was something.
I think.
You can't blame him if it is nerves. I mean, this kid, he's basically got 10 minutes of him and a microphone on national television. That's the time you see who the man and who the boys are.
So just as I started writing in my notes that this kid's gonna just tank because he's got no mic skills and he's gonna fall apart, he went on a roll and he started and he sucked me in. He became interesting to me. He talked about how, ever since being a little kid, all he wanted was to be a WWE wrestler, and everyone's always shut him down, saying no, and he sent demo tapes everywhere only to be rejected constantly.
The tryouts.
And he paid $2,000 of his own money to get a tryout.
Did you guys pay $2,000 for tryouts?
The one, this was just $1,000, I think. They just ran a tryout in September. They had like 50 guys down there.
I was invited to my tryout camp and didn't have to pay.
Yeah, why
it depends.
There's two different strategies. I think there's some that they do fly-ins and bring people. There's others that they charge because it is a way to make money. They know that people are serious. Here's something you find out when you do it. Why do they charge? Because it's not just you pay money and anyone can get in. It's not like you're fat out of shape, you pay the money, you still get a WWE tryout. You do have to be accepted. And I think one of the reasons of doing something like that is for WWE to see that if you're not willing to invest money in yourself and your career, why should we be willing to invest money? Whereas if you're willing to take that risk, there's a better chance that you're going to take a more proactive approach to your career.
And it shows you're serious.
It shows you're serious. You're putting your money where your mouth is, and you're putting it all on the line and taking a risk. And everyone knows there's no, without risk, the greater the risk, the better the reward, or however the slogan goes. Okay. Interesting situation. So essentially, Maddox just talks about how eventually he got the pinnacle. He was offered a WWE developmental contract.
But he seemed almost like he was bummed when he got it. And all I got was a friggin', he wanted to be a superstar and he got developmental. And
so this is the realism. And this is,
he shouldn't have.
And this is the portion of the show where I feel like my personal story is being told as well, is I relate to this as I had been offered a contract earlier this year with WWE, but then it fell apart. So, there is that disappointment. And then in trying trying to get back to them. There's the talks of, are you willing to do this? Are you willing to do that? And you sit there and go, well, I want this, but yeah, I'm willing to be a referee because I still want my foot in the door and I want to make it. Yeah, I'm willing to do some behind-the-scenes stuff because I want to get my foot in the door and I know I can prove myself and climb the ranks once there.
Look at Ricardo Rodriguez and what he's done with a one-day thing.
So there's a realism to what's going on with this angle of what it takes to actually make it into WWE. This is the first time you really publicly learn of I think it's the first time you ever heard the term developmental contract. I mean, I know they offer contracts on like the Tough Enough wins or the NXT wins, but this is the first time where it's developmental.
Yeah. They haven't really mentioned NXT very much, and the fact that they have a minor league system.
Maddox talks about down at NXT, which is the developmental. He's not a giant, and he's not a monster, and he doesn't have a mohawk, and he can't do triple flips in the ring.
Hey, Ryan?
Yes.
We have a fan caller. Would you like to take the call?
Sure, we'll take the fan caller right now. Let's give it a try. Oh, look, superstar Showtime Josh Padgett. Caller, what's up? Josh wants to talk to you.
Hello?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, my friend?
All right.
Hey, Josh. I'm just now chilling, watching Raw.
Yeah.
And, that's good. They switched it up. Survivor is going to be a triple threat match.
Yeah, they switched it up. We're getting to that segment coming up. We'll talk about that. We're almost there. We're getting to it. Because right now we're in the middle of the ring with Brad Maddox. He's explaining that all he wants to be is a wrestler. He wants to make his impact. And essentially he says that he wants to take, not only does he want a contract as a wrestler, he wants to take on Ryback.
Yeah.
Ew. Oh.
All right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, exactly, man. So now we got it set up. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. We got some technical difficulties here. A little bit. It's not coming in so clear.
Yeah. Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling, dude.
But once he says that, boom, Vince's music hits.
Yeah. So surprisingly, and I was not expecting Vince today.
Yeah, you get some time with Vince.
That was a little bit of a surprise. Nice surprise for the people of England. They seem to love it.
There was something I wrote in this segment that I think that the writer should have added. It doesn't matter. I mean, everyone can't get it right in hindsight's 2020.
Of course.
But there was a moment where I was like, essentially, when he set it up to set up Vince coming out and to set up the fact that he wants this match against Ryback, I really think that Maddox should have added a line to close his promo with something like, because at this point, I've got nothing to lose, and then, boom, no chance, and now there's like a little cliff, and then Vince comes out and could say, what do you mean, nothing to lose?
And let's not forget, also, before Vince came out, Brad Maddox said that he wants to wrestle Ryback. So I don't know if we mention that.
Vince is out on there. Vince is looking fired up and seems to be in a great mood here in Birmingham.
The crowd loves him.
Who doesn't love Vince?
And essentially, Vince says to Maddox, I'll offer you a contract if you can beat Ryback next week. And not only that, it's going to be $1 million contract.
Millions of dollars.
We've been talking about putting money on the line.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah. We've been talking about the fact of putting money on the line with the state of the economy and people being in financial situations. There's a relatability between the audience that even if it's big money and the people don't relate to big dollars like that, the kid's got $1 million on the line. This is like one of the reality shows you watch. You got $1 million. How are you going to handle that?
Yeah.
And you're sitting there thinking, how is he going to pull it off and beat Ryback?
Beat him. I think he's going to win.
6 foot tall, 207 pounds. How much do you guys weigh?
I'm legitimately about 195, 200.
What do you mean legitimately as opposed to illegitimately? How much do you weigh?
I'm announced at like 220, 210, 220, depend. Even though once someone did come in and go, how much do you weigh? I go, let's me at 210, and then they were announced weighing at 230 pounds. And I was
my God! I legitimately weigh about 180 or so, but I like to bill myself as 147.
I saw, I was listening to, just real quickly digress, Daniel Bryan talking about how he always listed himself as like 170 or 180, and even as he got bigger, he still had that listed until guys were getting mad at him that were saying, dude, I'm listed as bigger than you and you're looking bigger than me.
I always used to list my height and weight as less, because if I figured that as the bigger guys were always adding height and adding weight, and if I subtracted when I was in the ring with them, it gave more credibility and credence to their increased numbers, because the ratio was still split. Instead of me taking, if I'm 5'6" and claiming I'm 5'8". I'm still a short 5'8".
Yeah.
So I'll take my 5'6", claim I'm 5'4", and now you guys just think I'm amazing.
There you go.
Now I'm this amazing little guy. Yeah. So essentially, Vince offers the $1 million contract, and then he kind of walks to the back real quick. The commentators put over, wow, $1 million contract, and Vince drags Vicky Guerrero out and essentially says, Vicky, I don't mean to usurp your authority, and I like it's just the way he talks. Usurp your authority, and essentially starts asking Vicky if she knows what he's got in mind, and what are you thinking, Vicky? Because if you're thinking what I think you're thinking, you want to do this.
Yeah, and why is our champion not defending his title? Why are you giving him an out and being easy on him? Essentially, is what he was asking.
Yeah, and then as our articulate caller was trying to explain, there was a change in the main event for Survivor Series, and instead of being the tag team, typical elimination matchup in the main event, all of a sudden Punk and Ryback are pulled out of that match, and we're going to see him in a match for the main event with the title on the line, with Cena thrown in there, because essentially you got Vince McMahon saying that Vicky was just manipulating the situation where Ryback got screwed and Cena voluntarily gave up his shot, even though he technically didn't lose and it was a draw the previous month at the pay-per-view. And now we got a triple threat Survivor Series main event for the Raw Heavyweight Championship.
I also liked how Vicky would try to slide Ziggler's name in there. She's like, oh, is it Ziggler?
And then Vince finally said, if you say Ziggler one more time, you're fired.
But yeah, either an amazing work, or this was he went off a little impromptu.
This was good. This was good stuff, and once again, this felt special, and this felt like everyone was on fire, and Vicky was on fire again. She really had a great performance. The segment ends, and as it's ending, Sheamus makes his entrance, passes Vince, gives him a hug and a handshake, almost as if to say with the little on-camera, like a little message a little political message, with Sheamus almost saying to Vince, Vince saying back to Sheamus, I'm your new man, fella.
Your man.
I'm your new guy.
Not that Ryback guy, me.
Not that Ryback, not that Cena, but I'm your man. And you know what? Vince with the smile on his face and a huge slap on the hand and a hug almost looked back saying, you're my man, Sheamus. You're my man.
I think Sheamus could be someday.
That's right.
A lot of people don't, but I think he could very possibly be the biggest star in the world someday.
We got a really long match that's coming up next. First, we had Big Show come to the ringside area for commentary to set up Sheamus and The Miz in a solid match. Very good, lengthy, a lot of time. Nothing too special, but nothing bad at all. It was just a mediocre, solid
and maybe
match.
a little bit long for the type of match. Maybe shorten it up a little bit, because it kind of... this is, as we were talking before, is where I think the show slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, all of a sudden the pace did drop. So we went from this great show where everything felt big time to now we were back to Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have rather had some of this time, transferred over to the Daniel Bryan match, because the crowd was so behind him, and I guess they thought like Sheamus was going to be like really over there, and it wasn't. It was nowhere near Daniel Bryan.
Well, Big Show did his job and was great as the champ on commentary.
He always is.
I'm liking Big Show more and more, week after week in this role. I like him in what he's doing.
I think this is the best Big Show we have ever seen. As far as his work goes, his commentary in the ring, and it's amazing at his age, and that he's just amazing.
He also looked good tonight. Great shave on his head.
You think he used a head blade?
I was wondering if he's using the head blade, because he really did look absolutely remarkable. That looks like a clean shave. Could have been, man.
Real nice.
Could have been. You like that? You like that little throw in right there? Yeah, buddy. Here's something Miz does in the match that I like. I like the focused shin kicks. Constantly has those low kicks that take Sheamus off his feet. He ended up hitting one of those shin kicks, locking in that low DDT, which was really nice. And he did it a couple other times in the match when Sheamus was pursuing him in the corner. Miz would cut him off with that low shin kicks. Definitely a believable move. You believe the dude got kicked in the shin, and it slows you down for sure.
Yeah.
Sheamus ends up getting control again. Hits up White Noise as a setup for the Brogue. I got a problem with this, actually. In my mind, I know they're building the devastation of the Brogue, and technically it's his finisher. I think White Noise is more devastating.
Yeah, and he hits White Noise and then gets up to hit the Brogue,
and that's
right?
what I don't like, is you're sitting there letting you're letting your opponent get up and giving him another opportunity to.
It's one of the basic things you're taught even in wrestling school, that when you have the guy down, you go for the pin. You don't then stand up and wait to hit another move. They break that rule all the time in WWE, but that you're trying to win the match.
We even had a replay package of last week where he hit White Noise on the Big Show with immense power. The whole ginger. Have you ever seen a ginger snap? To me, let's build the fact that Sheamus has multiple finishers now. So it's not just that he's going to finish matches with the Brogue Kick. Maybe he'll finish it with the Brogue. Maybe he'll finish with White Noise. Now there's
Celtic Cross.
Maybe
I love that.
He doesn't do that anymore, really. But at least after the White Noise go for a pin, even if he kicks out, then you get up and set up for the Brogue Kick. But at least try to win there.
I just like building that guys like your top tier guys have multiple moves that can be considered a finisher, so that it's not that when you're watching a pay-per-view match where there is meaning and something's on the line, that win could come out of nowhere, and not just with like a roll-up out of nowhere, but it's a finisher that still gets hit.
And I'd like to see him go back to some talking about some old school stuff. Let a body slam win a match. Let somebody win.
I mean, I don't think you can get away with stuff like that.
You can I think you can in a way sometimes. I don't think you can all the time, but I think let's start surprising the audience a little bit, and doing some of that stuff and working that in. I think if done right, you can do some of it. I don't think you can completely go back to those days.
There's a hybrid thought process. There's a technique, because like ECW used to do it where they would have finishes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
What they ran into the problem is their guys would hit 12 different finishers before that, and then they'd finish with that little roll-up or a body slam, where there was a lack of believability because the guys essentially no-selled these finishers. But they did do a nice job of making finishes come out of nowhere and surprise you.
Yeah, and that is one of my is the false finishes. There can be too many, and I was watching WSX, the first match that you guys had. Great match between the now Evan Bourne and Jack Evans.
Yep.
Great match, but then you had these false finishes of these crazy moves. There were like 3 or 4 that the match should have ended. And it was the first match on the show, and it becomes a little bit much. Then if you see that on the main event, you're full by the first second match. So sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
In the end, Sheamus gets the win. It doesn't really do anything. It's really meaningless. Doesn't hurt Miz. Doesn't help him. Doesn't help Sheamus. Doesn't hurt him.
Just with Big Show.
I did like Big Show with the title. I like that.
Here it is. You couldn't.
We're seeing a continuation, though. I'd like to see something freshened up on the SmackDown side of things as well.
A pointless match taking a big chunk of your 3-hour time. That's essentially what it was.
It is a lot of time that it took up. We go to the back where Dolph is pacing in front of Vince's office. Vicky comes out of the office essentially saying, you got it. It's now Team Ziggler. So now you're the captain of the team in the traditional Survivor Series
and
match.
Here we go. So Cena and AJ, she's got a problem, but she's now using her power to get her guy to get stuff still. So definitely some hypocritical things going on there.
CM Punk comes walking in the hall. He's kind of saying how it's all about Vince's ego and him getting revenge on, Vince getting revenge on CM Punk for the beating.
This cranky bastard here. Pointing in his locker room.
Absolutely.
Did he say cranky bastard?
Yeah.
Could that be a little cranky Vince reference, you think, maybe?
So there's a little story going on about a Twitter account called Cranky Vince. Which everyone thinks is an insider. Everyone thinks it's an insider account. So apparently, there's been some secret information that's been revealed over the past many months.
They have no idea who it is,
but they don't know who the mole is. Who's the leak?
And it's somebody who's really, really on the inside. They think because they're breaking some information that then comes out as true.
Oh, I have to break into that.
What was the one that there was a release that happened earlier that they broke early? I forget what it was. Oh, it was Tyler Rex. Didn't they break Tyler Rex?
Not sure which one it was. I know that Cranky Vince just said that Jack Swagger's looking for his release. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not.
Yep.
Anyways, in the back, Vicky's there, CM Punk's there, and now Vicky essentially says that tonight there's going to be a match between Dolphin Punk and Ryback and Cena, and CM Punk just essentially keeps going, "What is wrong with her?
And
What is wrong with her?"
Ziggler was not happy, yeah.
He's just yelling, "Take care of your woman. You know, get your woman in line here."
We saw a cowardly comedic side to CM Punk. There was almost a complete turn on what his character was about based on this one promo.
It almost felt like a purposeful overacting. I mean, I don't know this, but it almost felt something to me like Punk was forced to do something he didn't want to do, so he just went over the top with it, you know, and I don't know that's what it was, but it felt...
I took it like he was having fun. He was having fun with Dolph. I think him and Ziggler are real, you know, tight. And,
I like it as fun. I think it's something that, once again, just adds another layer to a character that he's not strong. He's not just strong CM Punk. He's not just controlling CM Punk, the leader CM Punk. Now, there is a fact that he is afraid. There is a vulnerability to him. There is a fear that maybe he's not best in the world because he can't, he can't match up to the power of Ryback. All right, we went to
and you could always, one thing you could really play up on that too is maybe they were all right. They say I'm not the guy. This is the guy that is the model for WWE. Maybe they were right all along, and that is the type of person that should be ahead. So you could play some with the doubts in his head a little bit.
Well, we went to a commercial. We now know what the main event's going to be. And Josh, you pretty much missed what happened after commercial. We went back and you saw it. We get a little promo package for a brand new character on the horizon.
Styles Monroe?
I mean, we get a little lead up for Fandango.
Fandango. He sells movie tickets.
Interesting package. Very, very similar to a style of package that I sent to WWE when Abraham Washington was fired when I was pitching for a job with the primetime players.
We may need to play that next week.
I may bring it next week to show the little thing. People that are watching on YouTube can find the Styles Monroe Show, episode 1. You'll see even my side TV screens have the little loop of a similar thing. It's different.
It's different,
but there's a similarity.
There's no doubt a similarity.
The question will be, does Fandango have a handlebar?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, maybe I'm just stroking my own ego, and it has nothing to do. But
he looks like he's got the little flippy hair.
He has an S curl.
The Brad Maddox hair.
He's got what I call the S curl. The Superman S curl.
Yeah.
If he does, we riot. If he has a handlebar.
There's something about this. I'm looking forward to find out who it is. There's a flair and a style to the character that I definitely relate to. So I'm looking to see who's going to be in the role, if they can pull it off. And once again, I'll say as I'm hosting this, if this guy needs a manager, WWE, if you want to set it up, I'm available to be brought in for, I'm sorry to say it, guys, but I'll pass up an episode or two of AfterBuzz if I can get flown in to go record an episode.
You'd call in.
I'll call in while doing the show. Boom. We Skype on air. We tout it out.
There we go.
Cross-brand promotion, and there's that fantasy lifestyle.
I love it.
Critique your performance.
That would be great. I'd love to hear the critique from some Showtime Josh Padgett on my performance.
I would love to get a company man, Ryan Katz, on the phone.
Just wanted to say how great everything was and how great everyone's treating me tonight.
I think the writers are brilliant. Everything about this show is perfect.
Speaking of perfect things, I just want a quick shout out to AfterBuzz fall lineup. We got some great shows, 50+ shows. Tell your friends, tell your family. Watch if you got a favorite show. Chances are we got a recap for you.
What do you like to do when you watch some of your favorite TV shows?
Oh man, I sit there and I jib-jab at with my friends or my girlfriend.
I sometimes like to drink a pint, which is exactly what Regal and Sheamus like to do.
Yeah.
They fancied going out for a pint together.
Yeah, those Brits love their. Sheamus isn't a Brit, but they love their ale.
They do.
That's right. Yeah.
We get a recap of the scandal.
And
this was a wasted
quickly
segment.
too. Just Sheamus also said to William Regal how much he's taught him and whatever. And I know there are so many guys in that locker room that have been taught by Regal. I know he's one of those guys that really teaches the young guys, and it's great to have.
Regal's a great guy, and he does take an interest in trying to build the superstars of tomorrow, as he knows that in his role, if the company's not successful, he doesn't have a job. Whether he's a performer or not, it's not his ego of trying to be the best performer, but if the company's not doing well, he's not in a position to get paid to help the company do well. So he generally does give up his time, his knowledge, his wealth of knowledge, and shares it with the up-and-comers. And each week when they bring in enhancement talent and extras, he spends a lot of time working with them, giving them advice, giving them feedback, and teaching them some techniques of what can help them, aside from just how to wrestle, but what can help them take their skills and take their career to the next level.
You don't see him on TV as much anymore, but he has a very, very important role in that company.
If you ever hear of him having a match on Saturday Morning Slam, it's an episode I always recommend you DVR. Saturday Morning Slam, a fun program I recommend that anyone DVRs, because you get a style of match that's so different than Raw.
Right.
And it's playing towards this younger crowd, very playful, very fun, and all of the guys wrestle different than what you're used to seeing, and it's really a pleasure to watch.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen one episode. I'll have to check out more.
We get a long recap of the scandal, which is another waste of time on the episode. And then we go into the Divas match. Layla and Kaitlyn versus Eve Torres and Oksana.
Oksana looking... This is the best she's ever looked, by the way.
No reaction for her on her entrance, though.
No.
You know, she came out, and I mean, it was crickets.
No connection to the audience.
Who is she? No one knows.
Yeah.
I think there was a botch at one point where Layla went for her double jump cross body. I'm not sure if Eve, as a tag team partner, like, grabbed the ropes and she tripped, or if she just botched and slipped and they was trying to cover it up by making it look like she did it.
Yeah,
but Oksana was a little lost at that point, didn't really know how to clean the situation up. There was a confusion that definitely happened.
And that's the problem with, sometimes with some of the divas where they're only teaching them essentially dance routines and specific things to do. And they're not real wrestlers. They don't understand what happens if something goes wrong. What do you do? How do you recover? How do you get back? So
long match. They actually got a lot of time for this one. It wasn't a minute-and-a-half diva match like we usually see. So it actually went a little while. There was a nice shoulder tackle by Kaitlyn in this match. There was a very...
Is that a move?
The shoulder tackle.
Yeah. I'm just going back to the John Cena thing. Is that a move?
It is a move.
Okay.
Eve with a very strange booty pop. She likes to do that little pop of her booty dance move.
I'd hit it.
Of course, but it's very awkward. I mean, of course, as a guy, you like watching it, but I mean, it's really awkward and strange.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really odd. It just doesn't it doesn't fit her though.
Yeah. You be quiet. I don't want her to stop doing that.
No, she can
there are people, I swear, they start doing things that we suggest. Don't stop doing that, Eve. Don't listen to this guy.
Kaitlyn ends up hitting a scary-looking slop drop, gets the pin on Eve. Once again, champion losing in the non-title match. Second time tonight.
Second time.
And it's
but will it be the last?
I mean... This match had a lot of time. It just didn't click for me. There was definitely issues. It dragged on. It was slow. It was awkward.
Yeah.
And this was less than exciting. And unfortunately, it was one of those moments where the brass said, all right, we're going to give the Divas some time to shine tonight. And in this situation, they didn't.
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering if we're going to see just ridiculous short stuff next week.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shame on you. Shame on you, Divas.
Back to the back, we got Ricardo and Del Rio, and Ricardo telling Del Rio that as far as he's concerned, it's Team Del Rio, because Alberto Del Rio was really upset that it's Team Ziggler and that Del Rio's not the captain. And then they ran into Rosa Mendez in the back, and there was a nice little exchange between Rosa and Del Rio.
Yeah, very quick, but he smiled a little bit, and
Del Rio gave the once-over and gave a mommy. I like what I'm seeing.
We need this stuff.
I'd like to see her join up and then Ricardo start to get jealous of, their maybe friendship or relationship.
I like it. I like it a lot. There's something there. I like the intrigue of a new relationship. And I think that
maybe that's a way to split Ricardo off from him, and so
he can transition and start building his career. I would like to see Rosa with Del Rio more than I like seeing her with Epico and Primo.
I agree. Yeah. Because, Del Rio's an interesting character, and Epico and Primo haven't been given really a character. They haven't been given a chance.
Yeah, it's like, do we need good or bad?
And I liked your idea of what you were saying earlier today about bringing Carlito back with them.
As a possible, we're going to come up to their match soon, but absolutely. Kofi Kingston takes on Alberto Del Rio, Kofi Kingston being the Intercontinental Champion. Del Rio came out in his Aston Martin DB9 worth $200,000. Beautiful car. steering wheel on the other side because we're in Birmingham.
Oh, of course, Birmingham. Yes.
Absolutely.
I didn't notice on this. Did they have the grease rag on the back of the car? Have you noticed that they've like the last few months they protect the seat now because of the grease that gets on there,
funny.
so he doesn't stain them. Yeah.
Interesting. Essentially, we're informed that there's a setup for tomorrow's Super SmackDown Live Spectacular, setting up Orton versus Del Rio in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Good.
Playing off of last week's angle where they had a fight back in catering, which was in the middle of the hallway this time. I mean, catering's usually in a room. It was in a hallway on SmackDown last week. Very odd. Sorry. Anyways, Ricardo gets covered in chili, hot coffee.
Which I wasn't a big fan of that stuff because he didn't look like he was hit with scalding coffee.
When it comes to this match, Kofi shines as usual, hits a beautiful succession of jumps and leapfrogs from his regular to his reverse leapfrog.
Yeah, he defies gravity. It's incredible to watch him.
There was Orton's music hits. Del Rio's distracted, which allows Kofi to set up the SOS, which is a sick move.
Yeah.
Very cool looking finisher. Hits it for the win, and this was one situation where the champ did maintain, and I don't even know if the title was on the line in this matchup.
No, title is not on the line in this matchup.
But Orton did distract Del Rio, so it was a clean win.
And it was a bit similar if you watch SmackDown this week. It kind of Del Rio distracted Orton, and Orton lost to Barrett because of it. So this is Orton getting revenge from SmackDown.
So at this point of the evening, the pace of the show has definitely started to slow down and drag, and this is where everyone talks about that third hour is rough. And I've always, I was a proponent of it in the beginning and tried to cheerlead it, saying maybe it's because I watched that early feed here on the West Coast that it's 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. But I was like, you guys are just being too harsh on the product. These last few weeks, that third hour is affecting me.
And I'll tell you, the minute I heard 3 hours, the reason I said no is because I remember watching 3 hour Nitros, and it was too much. And when they cut it back to 2 hours, it was better. I mean, the show is garbage by that point, but still 3 hours is way too long. It's the same as a pay-per-view. So to me, it's like, what's the difference between Raw and pay-per-view? It's the same length as a pay-per-view with commercials, so it makes it less special a little bit to me.
In talking about the pacing, these next 3 segments seem to just be throwaways, and this was your final hour, but every segment leading up before the main event meant nothing. You had Team Cobro, Zack Ryder and Santino Marella taking on Epico and Primo in a tag team match that who cares? Didn't matter. All
they
it was
to spice those guys up.
It was to establish that Cobro is now a credible tag team, so that they can have the same fate as the primetime players, where they win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one. After that match, we had Wade Barrett coming out to a big pop and squashing Brodus Clay pretty much.
Hell yeah.
Barrett over with the crowd, obviously being overseas.
Brodus. What happened?
Something definitely did happen to Brodus, and his push has been derailed. If you'd like
That's an understatement.
If you'd like to see him still having successful wins and have some sort of momentum, tune into Saturday Morning Slam, where he's one of the featured characters for the kiddies. But it was just
crowd was really behind Wade Barrett. I mean, they were doing like football chants. When he wrapped him, what's his bare knuckle?
Souvenir elbow.
Souvenir elbow. Yeah, everybody's like, oh.
Yeah, the crowd does a lot of that winding up chant. Whoa. There was on the punches the yes, whoa, yeah. So there was a lot of that tonight. Last segment before the main event, Heath Slater defeating Jey Uso.
The 3-man band, baby.
Two-man band today. No Drew McIntyre.
Where was he?
No idea.
We're in England, and we're going to leave. He's Irish, right?
He's Scottish. He's Scottish.
Sorry. Yeah. My island, no.
Well, he was off the show for whatever reason. I'm sure we'll find out why.
I'm not sure why.
But Heath Slater winning this match with another new move. He seems to be changing his finisher every single week.
He's figuring it out.
So today was the Impaler DDT. I think I was a fan of last week's Overdrive.
Yes.
The leg over the head and the spin him over.
It's not doing my finisher anymore, so I'm happy.
You're happy.
Yeah.
And now we get to the main event. Set up for Cena and Ryback versus CM Punk and Ziggler. And CM Punk started with a big promo to set this match up.
Definitely. 351 days he's been your champion, people.
We're about a week short of a year. So
we're getting there. So what's going to happen is you got TV next week. Sunday will be 364 days, with 2 weeks from today's Raw being the 365th day, one complete year. So the question is will Will CM Punk retain his championship at Survivor Series, thus solidifying a one-year title reign, or will he drop the championship one day before the year mark and end that title reign just shy of 1 year?
I'm completely against ending this title reign unless you have a really good reason to. Because if you're just like, well, let's just kind of put the belt on Ryback, you can't get to this point again. When's the last time we were even close to a run like this? Cena a few years ago, and then go back to that.
But you
Kevin
say it
Nash,
can't be done
maybe?
again. Of course it could be done again.
It can be, but you have to take it. It'll take you a year to build up to this point, and
We gotta keep it.
yeah, it's not ready to go. It's not ready to drop yet. You know, they've got. I hope they do this right and they don't mess it up. I hope they build that at least up to The Rock. You've got The Rock waiting there at Royal Rumble for a good competitor or a good challenger for the title. And if Punk has that belt, it's a year and 3 months at that point. That's a big match, man. Huge. Rock against the champ that hasn't been able to have the belt taken off of him.
Build a new star. Build a new star.
I agree, but let's do it at WrestleMania. Star. It's not ready yet. It's not time to take that belt off Punk. Punk is the new star.
I think you learned. I think you learned to swim by being thrown in the deep end, and it's time to make something happen and shake things up and do what people aren't expecting, and let's freshen things up a little bit. Ziggler in this match looked impressive as always, bumping away, and had this moment where he hit a succession of elbows, elbow after elbow after elbow after elbow, finally stands, does his little half twirl, and hits his little posy dance. Great little moment, looked great. There was a moment in an exchange with Ryback in that match that you brought up. You'd love to see a Ryback and Ziggler feud.
I think Ziggler could really help make this guy have a great match with them and make Ryback look amazing.
Well, Cena had control of the match at the beginning. He was cut off. CM Punk and Ziggler ended up getting some control and put the hurt on John Cena.
Almost the entire match.
The whole time, Cena was taking punishment until he was able to make that tag to Ryback, who ended up getting in the ring and completely dominating from that point on, destroying
both of them.
CM Punk. I mean, there was no, from the moment Ryback came in, CM Punk couldn't hit anything.
Yeah, hit maybe three. Ryback hit him with about 3 clotheslines. Ziggler runs in. He gets hit.
Chucks him across the entire ring right into a turnbuckle. I mean, it was awful.
Starts shrugging the shoulder.
Oh, man.
The crowd starts going crazy. Hits that meat hook clothesline. Sets up for the shell shock.
Yeah, the shell shock.
In the finish. And clean dead center in the center of the ring.
And
Ryback.
Here's my problem is I think there's an issue with didn't want to see Ryback pin Punk yet. I think we should have teased that up to the time they have that one-on-one.
Have a Cena and Ziggler finish something in that match. Still tease the separation between them.
And tease the fact that Ryback is going to get Punk and then have someone pull him out. But he now has a win over Punk, and I think it kind of...
Punk shouldn't have been the legal man.
We want Ryback to win, and now we got it.
Well, so Punk loses the match.
I think we were given it
he ends up taking off because he doesn't like to stay around Ryback. He gets the heck out of town, and now we have a face-off between John Cena and Ryback.
Feed me more.
And that's the close of the show. Cena and Ryback face-to-face, setting up for next week, thus in turn setting up for the following week's pay-per-view.
Yeah. And wouldn't it have been more interesting if somehow Punk and Ziggler stole the win, and then it set up Cena and Ryback kind of angry at each other to do that whole thing?
I was hoping. Yeah.
I mean,
like Ziggler, pulls,
it would have made a little bit more sense.
It wasn't exciting. It wasn't an action-packed finish. It wasn't a must-see cliffhanger. So we're going to see where they develop.
Yeah.
But it looks like going into the pay-per-view in 2 weeks. It looks like for Survivor Series we have the triple threat for the WWE Championship. We're going to have Show and Sheamus once again for the World Heavyweight Championship.
And I got to believe there's going to be a stipulation thrown in there, I would think.
I think we're going to have Cesaro versus R-Truth for the United States Championship. Kofi Kingston is locked inside this traditional Survivor Series match between now Team Ziggler and Team Foley, which is still confused because is it even a Foley team? Because the whole Foley purpose was his storyline involvement with CM Punk.
That's true.
There's some open ties going on with that whole story. But overall, the first hour of Raw, I would have rated this week like an 8.5. I'd give it a solid BB+ for that first hour.
Maybe even an A-.
But then you factor in average in hours 2 and 3. and it really dropped the overall quality of this show to what I'd call a C-, maybe at best.
And I give it a C+, B-. I was okay with it.
I got bored by the end. I mean, honestly, that whole hour was a throwaway.
But the opening was good enough for me that it at least gave a good...
So you had a strong first hour, you had a throwaway second hour, and a mediocre third
hour. That
excuse me, a strong first hour, a throwaway third hour, and a mediocre second hour.
A throwaway third hour shouldn't even... I don't even think they should have right now, so...
Well, miraculously, this could be the fastest AfterBuzz we've had since I've been part of the team, because we've made it through this whole episode.
Take another call?
We can try. We have some difficulties sometimes. Caller, you're on the air. Who do we got?
Hello?
Hey, caller, you're on the air.
You gotta stop listening to your thing. Listen to your phone.
All right. I don't think
that's why our YouTube viewers tell us not to take calls.
Stop taking phone calls, and why we did not last week.
I'd love to start setting up. I'll actually maybe give out my Twitter as I am Smiley. We can start doing some hashtags. If you want to do AfterBuzz Raw as a hashtag, maybe we can start taking questions through Twitter starting next week using hashtag AfterBuzz Raw.
It'd be awesome if we can start getting people like tout questions in maybe and play them up on the screen.
Maybe we can play with this beautiful social integration of web technology. But, you know, as this goes, I mean, I think we could start ramping up the music and we can call this one an evening.
Yeah.
I mean,
no news?
Should we tell people where we're going to be? Little plugs?
Let's do it. Plugs. Ryan Clum, what's going on in your life right now?
So I guess November 15th, I will be wrestling down in El Centro, California. And then December 1st, Millennium Pro Wrestling Boys and Girls Club. Yeah. And I will also be in Boston this next week training at Killer Kowalski's school, the New England Pro Wrestling Academy.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely. Padgett, what do you got going on you want to plug?
I'm always happy to be here, guys. I learned so much. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm Ryan GQ Money Katz. You can reach me at IamSmiley.com or on Twitter at IamSmiley. I'll also be at MPW on December 1st with my MPW Maximum Championship right here. But for the week of November 5th's Monday Night Raw, I think that's the show, baby. We got Raw.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.